In one of my other videos, I talked about the importance of your college syllabus. That is the agreement between you and the instructor for a particular course. In this video, we're going to explore the importance of a college catalog. Hello, everybody. This is Nick Terrell, Professor of Information Technologies, Computer Science, Lakeland Community College. Now, this video is a prime example of what I've mentioned in other videos that it was recorded a few years ago. It was recorded in fall of 2022. Things have changed, but the overall content has not. Now, the catalog has changed. In the video, you're going to see me using the 2022-2023 catalog, but obviously that's not the current catalog. So again, I'm going to keep stressing this as you watch these videos, which I'm calling my Redux videos. I'm basically converting them back to, they're just the aesthetics changed, very cosmetic changes, but the core concepts within the video have not changed. So as you watch the video, listen to what I'm explaining about the specifics of the college catalog. You will be absolutely amazed how much you will learn about the college as a whole, your place as a student, levels of expectation, how grade points are determined, potential recourses, particular situation. So again, do not worry about the specifics. I'm using the 2022-2023 catalog and focus on the content. So when you do the homework, you will be looking at the most recent catalog. I did change that, but in the video, it's not. Homework, most recent, video, not. So that being said, let's go and learn something. Now, there's an incredible amount of information that we have to cover in this particular homework assignment. Now, the homework assignment may seem a little light when we eventually get to it, and I'll explain what it is, but there is a lot of very important information that you need to keep ready as you go through your academic career. So before we actually look at the assignment, let's take a look at a couple key documents and a couple key areas. So I'm going to go into this week's required reading. And the first place I'm going to go to is the college catalog. Zoom in just a little bit. Now, the college catalog is probably one of the most important documents that you need to be aware of. By this point into this course, we've used a lot of material from the college catalog, and we're going to keep using that. The college catalog comes out every year, and all our programs, all our courses, the requirements associated with it, you name it, and it's pretty much inside that college catalog. I tell students, and the counselors will tell this to the students also, you want to keep a copy of the college catalog that you started with. We will record that in your academic transcripts or your individual folders with the counselors. They will keep the reference of the college catalog that you started with. Now, that is important. Now, give me a second here. Let me scroll to, in this catalog, let me go to page 16. Sorry. And one of the key concepts in the college catalog is this thing called catalog in force. And let me read this to you. Let me break it down. It says each student's academic requirements are based on the catalog in which is in force during the student's first semester at Lakeland Community College. Now, what that means is when you do your completion plan, when you plan for your degree or certificate, you need to follow the college catalog that you started with. And if you do that, we at Lakeland are required to provide the education in which we described inside that catalog. So if things change, we have to make all reasonable accommodations to meet those changes. Now, I always hear this story. I've been teaching for a lot of years, and the story usually goes, Professor DeTiro, I'm one semester away from graduating, and the class that I signed up for got canceled. Now I have to wait a whole year to graduate. And I always tell people, wait, don't panic. That may not be true. If you followed the catalog the way it was prescribed to you and you took the courses in the order we told you to take it based upon that catalog, if a course gets canceled, we have to make all reasonable accommodations for you. It could be an independent study, it could be a course substitution, but somewhere along the lines, you followed the catalog, you followed what was required of you. We need to make those accommodations for you. It happens quite frequently. But then you still hear, well, I may have to wait a year. I said, well, again, it depends. Let's say, for example, slightly different now, you didn't follow the college catalog. You kind of took courses at your own discretion, out of order, or things that you thought was interesting, and you really didn't follow the prescribed pattern from the catalog. Then that gets a little tricky. That becomes a little bit more of a challenge because you didn't follow the catalog in force and when you started. So having the catalog, keeping a copy of it is extremely important. If we scroll through some of the areas of the catalog, and I strongly encourage you, it may not be light reading material, but take out your catalog and read certain things about it. You'll be surprised. Many people are surprised about what they learn inside the catalog. For example, grading systems. It's become ubiquitous. We could all recite our GPA, our grade point average and stuff. But where does that really come from? Well, again, it's become so ubiquitous that we don't even think about it there. We know that an A is worth 4, a B is worth 3, but what does that truly mean? If you look inside there are several grades that could potentially be assigned. Obviously, most people understand the A, B, C, D, F range, where A being a 4 and an F being a 0. But there's other grades that can be assigned to you that could really lead into some serious issues. For example, an FNA. That is a grade that you need to be scared of, because an FNA means that you failed that course because you didn't attend. Now, the problem, there's a lot of problems with the FNA. The problem with the FNA is you can't petition it. You can't get it removed. It's not like you got an F in a course and maybe you can petition it or have it removed or anything like that, or retake the course. An FNA can have serious ramifications, especially in areas of financial aid. So you want to be careful about things like that. But some of the other grades that are associated, people may not be aware. We have the S&U grade, the satisfactory, unsatisfactory grade. That usually is for courses that are not at the college level, what we call remedial courses. They may be a 0 course in front of it, to be something like course 080, what I call 0800 or whatever. And that means that it's a course that you may have to take to get you ready for other courses. You're not quite prepared. And a lot of those, not prerequisite, but those remedial courses don't have a grade associated with them. They have a satisfactory or unsatisfactory grade to them. Now, you may see some of this, where you see the SA, satisfactory, earned A if grade was issued. Because we try very, very hard to make sure that you can transfer to another school. And at some schools, they don't accept a satisfactory or an unsatisfactory. They want to see a grade. So to kind of get over that, we could award an SA, meaning that if you would have taken this course for grade, you would have gotten an A. And you can see some of the other satisfactory B, satisfactory C. You'll notice that D and Fs are never satisfactory. So unsatisfactory D means if you would have been assigned a grade for this course, it would have been a D. If you got an unsatisfactory F, you would have gotten, if you were assigned a grade for this course, you would have gotten an F there. And then there's some other ones. Now, let's talk about how grade point averages are calculated. It is surprising. We all kind of fall into this trap, and sometimes we get a little disappointed with it. Let me say hypothetically. Hypothetically, you're taking 2 courses. You're taking the FYEX course, and that's a 1-credit course, and maybe you're taking another course that's 3 credits. And in the FYEX, you earn a A. And in the 3-credit course, whatever that may be, you earn a C. You do the calculations in your head and you think you got a 3.00 average, because the average of 4 and the 4 plus 2, the average of a A and a C, 6 divided by 2 would be 3. Not the case. Grade points are determined by a earned average. And if we look here, for example, they said, okay, in course one, you earned an A. That's what, in course one, you earned an A. That's right here. And that course was worth 4 credit hours. Therefore, you multiply 4 times 4 and you get 16. In course 2, you earned a B, and that was worth 3 credit hours. So 3 times 3 is 9. And in course 3, you earned a C. That's what we have here. And that was worth 5 credit hours. So 2 times 5 is 10. And then eventually in course 4, you earned an F. 2 times 0, 2 credit hours, 2 times 0 would give you 0. Then you add up these points earned. This becomes 16 plus 9 plus 10 is 35. And then you add up over here the number of credit hours that you took, and you divide points earned by credit hours. So if you look at this formula here, 35 divided by 14 is 2.5. Your grade point would be 2.5. Let me open up a document. Hold on one second. So let me open up a document and do a demonstration. We'll use the example of you've taken an FYEX course, and so put that there, 1,000, and you earned an A in that course. Now, FYEX is a 1 credit course. And you took another course, I'll just make something up. You took course ABCD, 1,000, but that's a 3 credit hour course. And that one you earned a C, right? So let's do some simple little arithmetic. You know that an A is worth 4 points. And you know that a C is worth 2 points. So I multiply the credit hours, that's what this is. FYX is 1 credit hour, and this is going to get you 4 earned points. But the ABCD course was worth 3 credit hours, and you got a C in it. So 3 times 2 is now 6 for a grand total of 10 hours. So, 10 earned points. But now you need to add the number of credit hours. That's 1 plus 3. So 10 divided by 4, your GPA would be 2.5. 0. It gets easier over time as you practice and learn and start figuring out your grade point. Now, it's kind of simple math, but I want to point something out. Sometimes it's very difficult to dig yourself out of a hole. If you can do very well in your first semester, should do very well in all your courses. But if you do well in your very first semester, that's going to help you throughout your academic career. And it happens, if you dig yourself a hole and let's say you were unprepared for college or unprepared for whatever task, and you kind of got a little bit poor grades. Let's say hypothetically, your first semester you got straight C's and you start with a 2.0 average. It's understandable. I'm not passing judgment. I'm just using this as an example. As you keep taking courses, it's going to be harder and harder to adjust that grade point, right? So the better you do in the beginning, and you should always try to do your best, but the better you do in the beginning, the less the chance that it's going to take an effort to get you out of that hole. Hopefully, many of you are going on to continue your education, whether it be a baccalaureate degree or maybe someday working for a graduate degree, a master's degree. If you are planning to go to a four-year school and then eventually go to a graduate degree, a master's degree, one of the things they will look at is your grade point. So it is important that you always try to maintain the best grade point you have, and usually that first semester starts you off, so try your best there. Now, another document that you want to pay particular attention to, I'm going to close up the catalog, is this student handbook. This is another document that comes out every year. So this was released in summer 2022. Let you know something. An academic school year uh, typically starts in the summer and then goes through fall and then spring. And then at graduation, that's when they stop the academic year. So catalogs and student enrollment guides, when they talk about an academic year, they're talking about starting in the summer. We close the academic year at commencement. But this is an invaluable tool because this is a guidepost for you. This is a map of not the courses, but things you need to be aware of throughout the campus. The catalog was about degrees and courses and requirements. This is more about the getting started. The enrollment guide and student handbook is about how to be a good student, where to find things, and how to do things on campus. So if I was to look at this, table of content basically says, what this document's about, getting started, paying for college, special programs, student resources, etc. And if I scroll throughout this document, you'll notice, first of all, they show us important dates. And the student guide is for the entire year. So we have important dates for summer, fall, and spring. And then we start getting into different information. Now, you'll notice with the degree programs, they don't go into grand detail. That's meant for the catalog. This is just kind of explaining, almost in a bullet point fashion, all the different degrees that Lakeland has. And we'll talk about the different types of degrees that Lakeland has in a second. Here's a checklist for new and transfer students. Now, what is the difference between a new and a transfer student? Well, a new student means they started at Lakeland. Here they are, whether they graduated from high school a couple months ago or a couple years ago, this is the first college they've been to. A transfer student is somebody that comes to Lakeland, maybe takes a class or two or a year, but they're really registered at another school. We see this a lot in summer programs. A lot of the students from four-year universities will often come to Lakeland during the summer and pick up a class or two, and we consider those they're Lakeland students. We're very proud of them, but they're not necessarily seeking degrees at Lakeland. They're more seeking the class or two at Lakeland. So a new student, brand new. They're starting from scratch. They're at Lakeland. A transfer student is somebody that may have started someplace else and maybe finishing at Lakeland, or started someplace else, working at a degree or two, course or two, and then going back to their place of enrollment. And again, about the enrollment guide, the student guide, we talk about the different classes. Generally speaking, we have what we call a on-campus course. An on-campus course means that the lecture and the labs, if there's a labs associated, meets on campus at certain times and days throughout the week. We can have what are called an online course, where there is no official class meetings. All the material is up online, and the student may have to interact with the faculty member directly through email or discussion post or messaging or something like that, but there's no date and time associated with lecture. Recently, because of the pandemic, we've introduced something called an online WSR lab requirement, and what this is kind of a blend between a campus course and an online course, where the faculty will have a specific date and time in which they will provide a lecture, right? So, for example, I teach a lot of WSR courses, and one of the WSR courses I teach, we meet every Tuesday night online using WebEx, and I broadcast a lecture. So it's a nice little blend. Other things you might come across is something called a hybrid. Now, typically a hybrid just means that there's a face-to-face component associated with that class, and there's online components that are associated with that class. So maybe that face-to-face component is a micro lecture or a mini lecture, and there might be labs associated physically on campus, but a lot of the material is provided for the students through an online mechanism. And you can read these. Here's a description. I strongly encourage you to read this enrollment and student guide. By now, you should be somewhat familiar with My Lakeland, and that's the portal that students use to get into course materials. And I'm not going to go through the whole student guide, but if you have any questions or comments or concerns about the student guide, if something doesn't make sense to you or you are a little bit more interested in something, feel free. Absolutely contact me and I'll walk you through it. Right? But it also gives you examples of how to pay for college, some of the resources we have. I know I'm clicking by fast, and I do apologize, but again, it's more something like we can spend hours on this guide, and just don't want to do that. Okay, some of the activities. Remember, the catalog is about degrees, it's about certificates, it's about programs, it's about courses, curriculums, schedules, and things like that. And the student enrollment guide is about how you navigate around the campus. What are the opportunities? What are the things that you need to be aware of out there on the campus? Whoops. Now, you may have not seen this before in other requirements, but in some of these requirements, I provide a link. And that link will take you to a different web page. So I have two links here. One is called Applied Studies and the other is called Arts and Sciences. It's important that students understand the different types of degrees that we have. Generally speaking, there's a lot of degrees we have, but generally speaking, there's two types or two main branches that we work from. One is a arts and science degree. We call that AAS degree. And those degrees are meant for people who are looking to transfer to a four-year institution. But a lot of our degrees are what we call applied degrees. Applied degrees is a combination of theory and hands-on practice. My degrees in my particular area are applied degrees. I tell my student an applied degree is generally meant to get you gainful employment immediately after graduation, where the arts and science degrees are meant to continue your education beyond Lakeland. So let's take a quick look at the arts and science definition. So I click on it, and again, I'll read this to you, but basically, the Division of Arts and Science encompasses disciplines that are the foundation of virtually every student's academic pathway. The Associates of Arts and Science degree programs allow a student to align their studies to a four-year program. So in this particular web page, you are going to see a lot of things associated with going off to a four-year school. Let's take a look at applied studies. And in applied studies, you'll see the word training a lot. You'll see the word hands-on a lot. But basically, these programs are meant for, sometimes you may hear them called terminal programs. I don't like that term. It means once you complete this program, it is meant for acquiring enough information, enough knowledge, enough hands-on ability to go out and find gainful employment. So let's go to homework 5, and let's take a look at homework 5. By now, you should be very familiar with my format and what I'm expecting. A lot of this is hunting around and looking for specific definitions. So the first question is about finding the definition between the college catalog and the enrollments guide. And then question 2, tell me the difference between applied study program, arts and science program, and what a certificate is. I kind of left that out intentionally. I want you kind of hunting around. What is a certificate versus a degree? Where you're going to spend a little bit of time is in the next section. In this first section, it's a matching section. I want you to go out and match the grade to its grade point, or what it's intended to do. We've already seen that. We basically said an A is worth 4 points, right? In a previous homework assignment, we talked about what an A is versus what's a B and C. And now I want you to look up the 4-point system and what all these grades mean in a 4-point system, because some of them don't count towards your GPA. Pretty much anything below here doesn't count towards your GPA. And once you've acquired all this information, now it's time to do a little math. I want you to practice figuring out routine GPAs. And this is just one question, right? And the question says you've taken the FYEX, 1 credit, you're taking English, 3 credits, but you got a B in it, and you're taking math, 3 credits, and you get a C in it. What would the grade point average be in it? So this is one of the first times that you have a question where you have to do a little bit of small calculations in your head. And then once you do all that, you submit the assignment. So this assignment, this homework, obviously there's a lot of stuff there. And I want you to begin to read, especially the course catalog and the enrollment and student guide. I'm not saying right now you have to read them thoroughly, but you should have a strong working knowledge of those 2 documents. This is Nick Tiro. Let's go and learn something.